My name is Carol Forrestal. I teach at Riverside Middle School. I've been teaching for 28 years, and I teach vocal music. The Opera on the Net project was an outgrowth of the Creating Original Opera project that we started in this school 7 years ago. Mrs. Louise Merkel, who is now a retired social studies teacher, and myself took 3 summers of training from the New York Metropolitan Opera Guild, and we proceeded to do operas with our students. We've been doing it for 7 years with our entire 6th grade class. Everyone in the 6th grade class is on a committee, just like they would be if they were a real opera company. They're set designers, carpenters, composers, writers, electricians, public relations people, makeup artists, costume designers, and they treat these committees just like a real work assignment. After we had done this, we decided that it would be fun to try and make an international connection because the European teachers also have taken the same training. They've been trained by the Royal Opera House in London. So we tried to connect with some teachers in Europe and made a connection with 2 teachers in Helsingborg, Sweden. And we decided to go over and see their project, which we did, and they came over to see our project. And the next step we felt was to get our students together. We planned an Opera on the Net project to be produced in the Macready Theater in Macedonia in May of 2001, and we're in the process right now of working on that project. This project involves a lot of technology. We communicate with them through internet and through video conferencing. Each country has their own set designer, carpenter, composer, etc. And so it's been a great joint project. One of the main objectives of this project when we first started was to give our kids a greater appreciation for opera. It's one thing to sit down and watch a video of an opera, even to go to a live performance. It's another thing to actually write an opera from beginning to end. Hopefully our students as adults will go to productions, and after having done this project, they will look at the sets maybe a little more closely if that was their assignment, or possibly the makeup or the costumes or some of the other elements that go into an opera. Of course, since this is an international project, the cultural experience is also another goal. The students, the Swedish students, when they come over, they'll be staying in homes with our students, so they will see what life is like here in rural Iowa. And hopefully next year we'll go over to see them and we'll experience what it's like to live in Sweden. I think this project assesses itself. Every committee has to complete their part of their work for the whole project to work. And if they don't, then the other committees are aware of this, and I think students are very good at assessing themselves. Also, we videotape our final production, so we have a chance to actually look and see what we did. The audience reaction gives us feedback on how well the project worked. Students also fill out a questionnaire when they finish the project, asking them about how well they thought they did on the production, how well they did their part on their particular committee, and they rate themselves from 1 through 10. It's very interesting to see how they rate themselves. Most of them are very honest. Some of the students that I personally thought did the best job and were the most dependable and responsible sometimes rated themselves the lowest. Another thing we do, the 7th grade students will be writing a letter to the 5th grade students telling about what they did in the opera project and telling them what the best part of it was and what they liked about it and why they would recommend one committee over another. So that's a good way for we as directors to assess what the students are learning. The technologies that we've chosen were chosen mainly because they were relevant to the different committees. For example, the makeup committee uses the Cosmopolitan Makeover. They have a chance to take digital pictures and put them in the computer and then change hairstyles and do some different things with them. The set designers use Total 3D Home. They're able to do a floor plan for their sets, and they scan these over to Sweden so they could have a good idea of what they were doing. The composers use Music Time to print out their music. They've also used a scanner to send their music over to Sweden. And they're also going to be learning how to use a CD digital recorder within the next 2 or 3 weeks and going to be making a CD of the opera performance. The Public Relations Committee uses a lot of technology. For the logo, they used Microsoft Paint. It was drawn by hand, and then they used the computer to work with it. The invitation was developed on PrintShop. The students have been video conferencing through the ICN with Sweden. The students have been doing some video editing with Avid Cinema. I might also add that I'm very fortunate to have an excellent technology coordinator here at our school, Cindy Beatty, who helps me with that, and also Mike Irwin at Area 13. The students have also been using the internet to email back and forth about various parts of the opera project. The students at Riverside are going to be hosting the Swedish students, so they've been emailing back and forth, getting acquainted. I think tolerance is very evident in this activity because students have to learn to listen to one another. Again, they're working together. Again, they have to take into account the opinions and ideas of the Swedish students. And I think it's interesting when we start this project as fifth graders now, for example, when we're determining what the logo is going to be. When we first start this, all of the students are very anxious to have their logo chosen. And then they kind of get the idea that maybe they can pull an idea from theirs and combine it with an idea from someone else's and come up with something that's even better than what they started with. One of the most exciting things every time when we start this project is finding those students that are really sparked by this project because of the creativity. And amazingly enough, a lot of those students are sometimes the kids that can tend to be a discipline problem in the classroom. They seem to really relate to this if they're in the right slot. Another thing I've noticed when we start this project, from the beginning to the end, I feel like the class that I'm working with and myself, we tend to work together better in our other classes and in other situations because of this project. It really brings about a lot of teamwork between the students and the teachers and anyone who's involved in the project.